All right, everybody. It's a Sit Down Zumock podcast. It's me, Florida's greatest, Florida's most wanted, the Z-Man, the Lawson's chip dip consumer, the has-been baller. I'm coming live in direct, full effect from Tampa, Florida, where I will be here for a long, long, long time by design and legally. So, guys, thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm excited about today's guest. Before we get to today's guest, I want to shout out to Silk City Hot Sauce. If you're watching the video, I got a bottle in my hand. Z-Man's Mango Madness, Florida's greatest tropical sauce. You can get it right now. Use the promo code ZUMOCK, my last name, and you get 15% off a free bottle of the Cherry Ciroc and stickers. And thanks to everyone that signed up to my Patreon. I am 2 away from 100. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all your support, sincerely. And a lot of people have requested today's guest. It's first time on. I'm excited to have him. I'm a fan. He's a Boston comic. He's done a lot. He's here today. The one and only Mr. Will Noonan. What's up, Will?
What's up? That's nice. People requested me. That's nice of them.
Yeah, I get, because I always put these little surveys like, who do you want on? And you're always in one of the surveys. They're like Will Noonan, Will Noonan, Will Noonan. I'm like, all right.
Fucking touched.
He's like, you guys will be great together. And I'm like, we'll see about that, pal.
We'll see about that. So what's up? What are you doing on this podcast? You shoot the breeze? This is my favorite kind.
It's very formatted. I mean, I have a bunch of benchmarks. We like to bring in prostitutes. I'm like a morning zoo, if you will.
Yeah. We'll do some trivia questions.
Yeah, we'll give away tickets to Mark's Great American Rib Bird Off at the top of the hour after 2 songs from Foreigner.
I guess I'm not allowed, like, you're not allowed to really talk about what's going on, right? I mean, of course I want to ask a million questions, but
sure. No, I will. I've talked about it on my podcast a little bit. I did Mike Calta's podcast, Bobby Kelly. It's a legal situation. And I know there's trolls out there. They're talking shit. They're running away with their own fucking conspiracies. And I'm loving it. I'm blocking everybody because it's just like, it's my situation. I have to deal with it, and it sucks. It fucking sucks. That's all I'm going to say. And I have to go through it. I just have to go through the legal process. And
well, Florida, I know more than a few comedians who've been jammed up in Florida, particularly with different legal issues. And but it's usually like drunk driving and stuff like that. But I just know down there, it's not that crazy to have a case going. A lot of people got cases.
I think it's your rite of passage. I think that's how you get into Florida. You have to have a legal situation.
Yeah, it's like you're either old, a stripper, or you have an impending legal situation.
That's all I really want in my life are those 3.
So what I can ask you about though is this. So this was something, I don't know if you heard what I said about it on my podcast. I was like,
I saw a clip of you were talking, I think, to your co-host, and you basically said, yeah, I heard about Chad. Then you got really high and just forgot about it.
Pretty much. But then I got high again later, and I was like, that could be any of us, like any comedians. To think of a comedian, like one of my brothers or sisters out there in comedy, like spending a couple nights in jail. I'm like, that's just not right. Like that's like putting a kid in jail. You know what I mean? It's like, we're just not cut out for jail.
Have you been to jail?
I mean, yeah, but really like quickly, like in like drinking related stuff. That was just
same here.
I was drunk the whole time, and it was over before I knew it.
Yeah. And honestly, when this went down, I thought it was going to be a situation like that. And I had no idea I was going to go to jail, like where I had to put a suit on and have my bed thing in front of me and walk in and go into a cell. And I was like, what is going on? I go, what the fuck is going on right now? It was crazy.
That's exactly. I remember my buddy, he goes, that was his moment too. He said they handed him some clothes, and he was like, there's a costume change. I gotta he's like, this is a serious thing. You know what I mean? And that is like, to me, like, so I had a thing a couple of years ago where I got pulled over, and I had been driving around. I had been on the road and stuff, and my tags on my car had expired, and they're like sending letters to my house, which I'm like not visiting, and I'm just driving around and like doing gigs and smoking weed in my fucking car and like living my life as if nothing. Any cop I passed could have pulled me over, you know?
Yeah.
So I got pulled over the middle of the night one night coming back from like Maine or something. And the cop was like, seriously gonna put me in jail. It's like against the law. You know what I mean? He's like, I could arrest you right now. And so
were you drinking or are you just smoking weed?
I was smoking weed, but the thing that wasn't even what I was in trouble for. What I was in trouble for was in driving on expired tags, like, which is basically, it's like against the law. You're not supposed to be able to do it. So the guy goes, I'm like, well, I'm a comedian. I'm coming back from a gig. Like, I swear to God, I didn't know anything was going on. And he kind of gives me the once over, and he's like, if anything you're telling me is a lie, I'm gonna go like to my car. I'm gonna check some of this stuff out. He's like, if anything you're telling me is a lie, like you're going to jail tonight, right? So I'm like, no, all right, go ahead, check. He asked me if I have any warrants or anything. I'm like, go ahead, check. So then he goes, and I'm like sitting in the car, I'm shitting myself because I'm like, I don't know,
scary.
Like anything could happen, you know? Then he comes back and he's like, I Googled you. Like, you got a bit about cops I really like and firemen. And now he's all friendly and shit like that. And he's like, there's a tow truck on the way and da-da-da-da-da. And it was like, I went home that night. He still impounded my car, and I had to take a cab from like New Hampshire to Boston. It was like $150 or something.
Holy shit.
And
yeah, my car's impounded now. I have to spend $700 to get it out. $700.
I mean, that's the thing that sucks about stuff like that. Was my first thought too. I was like, the money drain. And is it still sitting in there?
I'm getting it out tomorrow. My lawyer, my $15,000 attorney, got him down to $700 because they originally wanted $1,300 because it's been in there. I'm just like, are you kidding me? So they talked him down to. So I haven't even stepped foot in a courtroom, and I'm already down almost $20,000. That's insanity.
That's what people don't understand, man. Even a DUI or any of this shit, like it all and the lawyers and the bail bondsmen and the cops, they're all like bros, and they're all just like fleecing the public.
And I said this on my podcast. These courts are broke because of COVID. No one's out driving. They're jacking on charges to everybody. If you're drinking and driving, they're going to find other charges to jack on because they want you to take a plea. Yeah,
when I was on the road in Florida, this was even before COVID, a comic down there told me, he was like, just don't get pulled over, man. He was like, if you get pulled over, it's already too late.
Where were you performing down here?
I was in Fort Myers for like in that area.
Oh, the Laughin' Comedy Club, or?
I was doing a thing. It was for spring training baseball. It was something the Red Sox set up in a hotel down there. And I did like 2 weeks in the Fort Myers area. I banged around, and
I got you.
I did pop into that place though and do like a quick visit.
Right in the plaza.
Yeah. I did go in there.
I'm on willnoonan.com right now. I'm looking at your bio.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you this. When did you do your Gotham Live?
Oh man. Not when it was on Comedy Central. I did it when it was on Access.
Yeah, I did too.
Dave Coulier was the host. It was 2015, I think, or 2013. No, 2015.
Oh, so you got Dave Coulier. I lucked out. I got Norm Macdonald.
I've watched your episode.
Yeah.
Norm that's amazing. Actually, though, you know what's weird though? I ended up opening for Coulier like a bunch of times after that. So it was like Norm probably would have been cooler to watch, but like Coulier, I got some money out of it.
Oh, did he like your act? He's like, you want to go do the road?
Yeah, I did some gigs with him.
Did he have Full House? Was he doing the Fuller House at that time?
Yeah, it was funny. I got he like told me it was coming. There was like a week where I knew Fuller House was coming out before the rest of the world. I was like, yeah, I'm fucking in show business.
Did you do the Pittsburgh Improv with him?
No.
Because I was scheduled the middle for him, and then Fuller House came out, and it was like a smash hit, and the shows immediately sold out, and he immediately said he was bringing an opener, and I got bumped.
Oh, it wasn't maybe me, but that would have been funny if it was.
Yeah.
he was a really nice guy though. Like I will say, very genuine kind of like the dude, just like the dude from the show. Like
Did he do Cut It Out?
it's in his act. Yeah, it's like
Oh no. Does he do Bullwinkle?
he does everything
Really?
from the show. He does in that. But I kind of felt like he was doing it. Like, let's get that out of the way. Like he got it all done. He has like a little montage that he does at the beginning. Yeah, but one thing about him, he would be like, Will, don't, obviously I'm very clean. Let's like keep it clean, very clean, Yeah. And I'd be like, of course. But then he'd go out and say like, damn it and shit. And it would like crush, you know what I mean? Like he'd say shit the way some comics say fuck. Like he'd barely say it. He'd like, sprinkle it in. But like Uncle Joey saying shit is like, oh.
Yeah. Well, actually the guy, I forgot the comics. He played Biff in Back to the Future. What's his name?
Oh, Gary Busey's son, right? Or
no, it was
no. I know what you mean. The other guy.
Fuck. Why? Tom.
I was. I think I emceed for him at the Hartford Funny Bone when I was like many years. What is that guy's name?
I'm bringing it up. It's driving.
I can see his face. He's super clean too. Christian guy, right? Like.
He's pretty. Yeah, he's clean. He played. What the fuck? Hold on. I'm almost there.
This is what we can really talk about, Chad, you and me, like opening for fucking other guys.
I know. Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
Like he'll do the Biff right out of the gate, the butthead and all that. And he's like, all right, we good. And then he goes into his act. Like I got to get it out of there. And even Screech, Dustin Diamond, he does his Screech shit right up top. And then he's right into his act.
At least they're not going to scream it out, There's another clean guy that I opened for who was, this guy was actually a dick. Bob Nelson. Remember that guy? He was famous when he had an HBO special back in the day. He has balloons in his act. That's a big part of it. And he does a ton of jokes just with like 2 balloons.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man. And I remember I had never heard of him, and I'm a comedy fan, and I'd never really heard of him until I looked him up. But everyone was like, oh, man, you're opening for Bob Nelson? Like, oh, you're opening for Bob Nelson?
Oh, I remember this fucking guy.
Yeah, and then I opened for him, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then he, like, shit on me. Like, when the headliner, like, shits on the middle a ton?
Yeah.
Like, he was shitting on me, like, left and right. And I was like, the fuck, Bob Nelson? Like, I just did all right out here.
Bob Nelson has appeared on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson several times, and he's done Letterman, Regis, Merv Griffin.
And he's old school showbiz.
Wow.
But the reason I remember him is because he was also super religious. He had a guy with him who was like his prayer partner, prayer buddy, who traveled with him and stuff to pray. And I was like, oh, okay.
This is how desperate I am for money. I want to be his prayer partner. I'll do that. I'll work with him. I'll pray I want to pray with him.
It's a tough time to need money fast.
Yeah, it was, and I had a little nest egg saved and it's gone. I'm like, what happened? Have
you ever thought about getting into like stock options or like gambling or anything?
Oh, I thought about everything. Everything's crossed my mind. I mean, when I was in jail for 4 days, there was nothing to do. So all you do is think.
I was gonna say, so let's go. I'm so curious about this. Like, what was that first 2 hours in jail like?
Well, the booking process took forever. And going back to what you're saying with the cop, like as soon as they find out I was a comedian, the hard ass thing goes away, and they're like, "Oh yeah, oh okay, all right. Well, what's your skit about?" They want to know.
Yeah, of course.
And they got me. I go. Can you just book me? I got to get out of here. I was like, I know it sounds cool, but it's not that cool. I mean, I'm fucking in jail. I have handcuffs on. This is not fun. Yeah. I'm not looking to do my closer right now. I want to go home, and then. So the booking process takes about almost 4 hours. And then finally a cop comes. I thought I was just going to go into like a drunk tank and my friend will come bail me. And we drive like 35 minutes to a county jail. And I'm like, what's going on? And I got my handcuffs. I'm in the back of the car.
So no one this whole time, no one's really keeping you in the loop. You're just sort of like being taken from one place to the next.
Nobody's giving me any information. Even when I was arrested, I wasn't even know what I was being arrested for. I don't know what was going on. And I'm not getting...
You're cool. You're cooler than me, man. I would have been fucking panicking, dude.
I was panicking. I was sweating. They thought I was on something because I'm being arrested. Of course I'm nervous.
That's what I said too to a cop one time because you seem kind of nervous. I was like, yeah, like this is this is scary. Of course I'm fucking nervous.
You have a gun. There's a lot of factors to be nervous here.
You have the power to take away my freedom. That's fucking nerve-wracking, you know.
So we pull into this garage and they shut the door, and because of COVID, they wouldn't let us in the booking area right away. So we stood out there for like a half hour. And I'm like, okay. So we finally get in there. I sit there for another 2 hours, and they do the fingerprints, my awesome mugshot. That was terrible. That fat shamed me. And then that
was good. That was on Twitter, I think, before you were out, right?
I was just did Mike Calta and Bobby Kelly's podcast with Rich Voss, and I was, when I got bail, they gave me bail at 6 p.m. I didn't get out until 4:30 because they don't give a shit. Yeah. They was like, we'll process it when we feel like it. And I had to walk a half mile to the 7-Eleven because Uber won't pick you up at the jail for some reason. So I get to the 7-Eleven, I'm driving home, and as I'm pulling in, he's listening to Mike Calta. He's the morning show down here, Cowhead, and he's talking about my case on the radio, God. And I'm in the back seat going, how the fuck did this get out?
Like, how surreal. How surreal though, Chad.
It was the craziest thing ever. Then I go on Twitter, my phone starts blowing up, and I'm just like, I told 3 people, my landlord, my buddy, my aunt, and Jim Florentine, and none of them said a word to anybody.
Wow, Florentine's in the fucking inner circle.
Yeah, he's like, you're gonna be all right. Don't worry, it's fine. You're gonna be fine.
Do your time.
Just go through the process. You'll be fine. They'll throw it out.
Wow.
So yeah, it was. I don't know. I mean, it's embarrassing, but there's so much more to the story, and it's just like I gotta get my fucking lawyer to like do what he does. I mean, I'm paying 15 grand. I mean, this guy's an animal. He's a complete animal. Good. So he's way out of my price range, but like I said, I'm going to figure it out. Like everybody on Patreon's been good. They stepped it up.
Yeah, that's nice.
They stay consistent with it. And I hope to look back on
it's actually in a weird way, you're making the best of it. I've seen a couple of your Instagram lives from my burner accounts and my dog's Instagram. That's when I watch stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, you're like, seem to be kind of motivated by this adversity in a way, and it's kind of breathed a new energy into you.
Yeah, because I think when I lived in LA, I was broken. I got broke, and I didn't want to do comedy anymore. Like I hated it. I hated the business, and the COVID hit when I was going to New York, and I stayed in Ohio, and I said I always going to move to Florida. And when I moved here, I feel like I've been on vacation the whole time. I haven't been taking anything seriously.
Yeah.
So I haven't had that drive to like, all right, let's get some shit done. And now I got that drive in me, that fire that I haven't had in years.
Yeah, I know. And I understand on some level. I think as a comedian that comes and goes, because comedy, the tough part about I was just thinking about this today because I was on a small film shoot today, but I was like dragging my ass there. And I'm like, dude, this is like your dream come true. Like you're fucking like, this is what you always wanted to do. But unfortunately, one of life's sad realities is like, things are never like you really think they're going to be. You know what I mean? And comedy, as fun as it is, and as cool as it is, it's a job, and it's a really hard job, and it's a really hard job to continue to keep. And when you have a salary job, you can kind of fuck off for a couple months mentally and not really pay attention and come back. But in comedy, it's like your business. You gotta like fucking stay on it, or else you could wake up one day and be fucking homeless. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. It's I think the fans like don't get that sometimes. They're like, oh, you're on the road, you're like having fun, you're like living it up, and it's to them, it's like Chad's in jail, it's like another fucking funny thing, you know what I mean?
I know they think this is part of like the comedy thing. I go, no, it's actually real life, and I'm scared. And I know you're getting entertainment from it, but it's not a part of the act yet. I still need to work it out.
That's what I was saying to Paul, like my friend, and co-host. I was like, man, that really, it's not funny, you know what I mean? And it's same when a guy has like a really nasty divorce or something and everyone's making fun of him. I remember when Voss's house burned down, I opened for him and fans were coming in and like literally he was wearing like clothes that he had just bought from like Kmart because like they had nothing.
Yeah.
because everything burned in the fire. And like the fans were like, "Hey boss, I heard your fucking house burned down. Like, you fucking loser. What are you, like, living in a shelter?" I'm like, this guy's got 2 little girls and a wife, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of these people don't have empathy. There's some trolls right now. I'm not going to give them any fucking, I'm not even going to mention that, but they're like, they're making a joke out of this and they're trying to like turn it into content. I'm like, dude, man, I go, you weren't with me when I was crying. Like, what am I going to do? Like when I was literally bawling my eyes out. I mean, I go, that's not funny.
Well, most people don't know. I mean, I've never been in jail, but even to have like your freedom taken away for even a fleeting moment, even to have it, that's why people get so charged up about cops and interactions with cops and interactions with the police, because it's not just like, oh, that guy's being a dick. It's like he holds his whole life in your hands. Like, they have a lot of power and they can take away your freedom. You know what I mean? And that's hanging in the air of any interaction, of any conversation that you have with those guys. You know what I mean? And that shit's like, that shit's scary. And it's easy from a laptop or from your phone to kind of be like, like, because it's weird. It excites you to hear like when someone you know is having legal trouble, just like the same way it kind of excites you to drive by a car accident. But you should go past that and then have some empathy for the person.
Sure. I was surprised because like Joey Diaz, I brought him this. I didn't think he knew who the fuck I was. Like, I've never had any kind of like communication. I brought him to the stage once at the Comedy Store, but it's about as far as it went. And then he told Florentine, he's like, "What's up with your buddy Chad? What happened to him?" I'm like, how does he know? How does he know who I am?
But I think that says something about comedy, like in the kind of the brethren of comedy, I think, because I think everyone knows who you are. And I think people are like, oh shit, like Chad's in jail. You know what I mean? It's like, it's scary. It's like one of us. That's how I felt. That was my immediate thought. I was like, that's just like me being in jail. I'm like, I'm freaked out. I want him out and I want to know what's going on. Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, I'd say 75% of it's been positive. Like with comics, I respect my friends and just people with empathy, but there's the other 25% trolls and Reddit.
Standard. That's standard. I mean, that's the shitty part, but I mean, I kind of like, you must have a thick skin about that stuff by now, pretty much.
I mean, I think, you think about all the gigs we've done, the bombing, I mean, we've seen it all, we've done it all. And it just, you gotta have thick skin, and we all have our like moments where we get a little sensitive, but
of course. Yeah.
And,
nothing a little marijuana in a bong can't cure, Chad.
By the way, this is why you sign up for the $10 tier, ladies and gentlemen. You're about to watch Will Noonan smoke weed.
That's right. Doesn't happen everywhere.
When'd you start smoking weed?
I smoked, I was always a big drinker.
Yeah, me too.
In high school, especially, like in high school, I drank on weekends. I wasn't a big pothead in high school, but I would smoke pot occasionally in high school. But then when I got to college and I was like living on my own, I was like, all right, I just started, like, I met a pothead and I was like, yeah, I think I want to be like you. I think I want to be a pothead myself.
What college you go to?
I went to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, which is part of the New School in New York City. It's like a
was it like Fame?
Yeah, it's a acting conservatory. Just all day from like 8 a.m. to like 6 acting stuff. It would be like just regular acting classes. It'd be like stage combat classes. It'd be like a little bit of dance. That was like only one class.
So you're like a legit actor. Like you're a full-on legit actor.
Yeah, I was an actor before I was a comedian. I was like a child actor. I did some stuff like when I was in my like early, like 14. I did like a commercial and
so was Tim Dillon, by the way. He was a child actor.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I didn't do a lot. I didn't have a lot of success. I didn't have much success at all, really, until I started doing stand-up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I did some stuff here and there, and I did a lot of theater in New York. That was like my main thing. So the school was like the method acting, it was
sure.
Like focus was on that, and like which actually kind of helped for stand-up. Shakespeare was one of my classes, all that.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But that was I started that school 2 months before 9/11.
Oh, well, there's a good omen.
Yeah. So it was like, I like just been living it up in New York City for like a couple months, having the time of my life. And then 9/11.
All right, here's the scene. 2 747s go into the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Now, show me your emotion.
I can't. It was kind of like that. And it was, all my teachers were very like, like they were these New York, like theater people who had like I remember one of my teachers came in after 9/11. She was like, she had been in all these Tennessee Williams plays, and she wore like muumuus and like had long flowing hair. And she was like, wherever you came from, you're all New Yorkers now. Like,
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And I was like, yes. Yeah.
I'm too cynical. I couldn't do it. I just started making fun of it.
It was, here's how my acting career really was. It was funny because it was like, I was just a comedian who didn't know it. Like, I was always just like, oh, give me the funny part. And like, we can make this funnier. And like, can I add my lines to this? Like,
Yeah.
everything was like a slow, so then anyway, I was in New York. I was trying to make it as an actor. I wasn't making it. I got a job as a karaoke MC.
Ooh.
And I was MCing 4-hour shows every night. And then I started MCing other things. And then I was really good at that. And then I was like, I think I want to try stand-up. I've been a lifelong fan of stand-up. And I'd seen Burr like a lot growing up in Boston. So I was like, I'm going to fucking try stand-up. And then as soon as I tried it, even though I'd done all this acting stuff, all this schooling, and I'd been in plays, and as soon as I tried stand-up, I was like, oh my God, this is the thing I'm supposed to do with like my life.
And honestly, that's a pretty good transition from all the acting and hosting karaoke. That's kind of a good lead in. Like you almost had the foundation's already set, like the stage present. You got all that shit out of the way.
I tell people it was a unusual journey into stand-up, but I think I was well trained by the time I got to it, because it was, you're exactly right.
Stage fright's gone.
Stage fright's gone. I had this weird discipline from acting, so I knew how to write and work, and I knew like, hey, tonight it's not so good, tomorrow night it will be better. I knew that from acting. But then the MCing thing, I mean, to go from, they'd be like, you got 5 minutes, kid. I'd be like, 5 minutes? Like, let's fucking go. Like, I was used to filling so much time right off the bat that I didn't have that thing where a lot of guys were afraid of the time and filling the time. I was like, I can fill the time.
Yeah.
But
it also says
nice.
I'm sorry. It also says on your thing on your website that you opened for Burr.
Yeah, just a couple times actually, but just recently before the pandemic.
Yeah, I know. Where'd you open for? COVID.
Yeah, I've opened for him a couple times here in Boston. I gotta get this lighter. I'm gonna hit this.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll do a commercial while you're smoking weed.
I'm never far from one, Chad.
All right. You take a break, and I'm gonna do a little read here. Guys, if you get a chance and you're feeling generous, obviously you could sign up to my Patreon for only $3 a month. Like I said, I'm 3 away from 100. By the time this is released, I might have hit 100. But you get bonus episodes. You'll get this episode a week early before it's released. Also, if you're feeling mighty generous, go to the iTunes, leave a 5-star review. 5-star review. It helps with something. I am full on podcast mode right now. I know a lot of people are hitting me up, and I am committed. So you're going to hear me all week long. You got the Sit Down Zumock podcast on Tuesday. You hear me on Misery Loves Company on Monday and Wednesday. Then you hear me on Misery Loves a Football on Thursday. And then I got the bonus episode for the podcast on Patreon. So do me a favor, go sign up, leave the 5-star review, and everything will be great, and pick up the Mango Madness. Now we continue with comedian Will Noonan. Now, last we spoke, you left us with a cliffhanger of where you've opened for Bill Burr.
Like many comedians, I had a great, I was going up. Like many comedians at the end of 2019, we were like doing big things. Comedy, the boom was just increasing. So I had just opened for Burr at Laugh Boston. And then a couple weeks later, sold it out myself 3 nights like in a row.
Holy shit.
It was by far the biggest, like most fun, like just best thing ever. You know what I mean? It was like I'd finally made it in my own.
Did you sell it on your own reputation in Boston?
I think so. I mean, I sold 2 of them. First of all, I had no expectations of doing anything like that. Like in my heart, I was like, oh, I'll get I'll like almost fill the room.
Yeah.
Like on Friday, and then it'll be like kind of good both nights, you know? But I did promote the fuck out of it. Like I did that hard promo, like, and then so then the club called me like that week and they're like, you sold out Friday and first show Saturday. And I was like, what? And then they were
What's it seat? Boston.
It's like 300 or something like that.
That's pretty fucking good, man.
It's pretty fucking good. But then I went on this Maddie in the Morning show here in Boston, which was like this huge show. And within like 5 minutes after the interview, I sold out the last one.
Good for you.
So that was kind of like, I mean, that was like end of February. And then I went down to New York and I was doing stuff down there with Serpico, and I was doing some like compilation albums, which were big, and they were like getting residuals, and everything was just cooking, you know?
Yeah. And then COVID. And then
pandemic.
The pandemic. And then, yeah, everything goes to shit, and it is what it is, man. I mean, I've been lucky enough where I'm able to do live stand up here in Florida where we don't talk about COVID. We just live life.
So like I'm doing shows too, like and I'm doing both. I'm doing Zoom shows and I'm doing live shows. And it's like ever changing here in Mass. Like, so at first we were only doing outdoors and then indoors with small capacity. But I also go to New Hampshire and Rhode Island, which have their own completely different regulations and laws.
Sure.
So I go to New Hampshire, I'll do a show for 120 people inside. And then I go to Massachusetts and it's 12 people, like spaced out, like unbelievably so, you know? And it's just super fucking weird. But I kind of feel like it's cool in a way because you can drive an hour and feel like you're in a really different place. Like New Hampshire really feels different now. So like, what is Florida like? Is it really no one just wearing a mask like they say on TV?
Oh no, I mean, people are wearing masks when you're in the stores and, you know, at the club when you walk in. But, you know, I think it's for some reason they politicize this virus. So this is a red state. It's Republican, and Ron DeSantis, he just looks at information and facts, and then he makes decisions. Because I think a lot of people are using this for political power and gain. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I am street smart. I think it's real, but I also don't. We had a guy on our football podcast today. He's we call him Lenny's Printer. He has COVID right now, and he said he felt like shit for 2 days, and he's fine. So
I know I definitely think that is. I think we talk about this on the Noonan show like every week because it's just and it's all this time later and there's no information like to tell us, you know what I'm saying? Like that we can really do other than wash our hands and wear a mask, like nothing's evolved, you know? But I don't know if it's political or if it's, I mean, everything's political, right? Like now, but I also think it's like a symptom of, we just go apeshit with anything we can. Like our media system goes wild, you know? I mean, Trump, love him or hate him, he's a product of that too. It was like, he was this little ember and he was so good for ratings that like the networks were just like until he became this huge bonfire. Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like the same thing kind of happened with COVID too. It's like a snowstorm that never ends. It's a disaster that never ends. So it's ratings every day, you know?
I think, and I said this, I don't know where I said it, but if this would have happened 15 years ago before social media and the media the way it is, we would never have shut down. It would just been another, oh, I got COVID. Oh, well.
I agree. I said that too. Like, I think that's why the boomers took it that way at first. Cause they're like, this happens like every 10 years or whatever. And it is weird. Even in Massachusetts right now, they're freaking out about it. The numbers are going up. but that's just people having positive cases. The
Yeah,
death,
they're testing. All they're doing is testing more. We test more than any other country. We test more than anybody.
the death and the hospitalization here is still kind of what it's been at. But.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy in Tampa. He goes, "Yeah, the hospitals are empty. They're completely empty. I don't know." So yeah, if you test positive, it's like, okay, so what?
Well, we went from like in March, we were like, "Is Tom Hanks gonna live?" And then if Cam Newton gets it, you're like, "Is he gonna play or is he not gonna play?" Like we don't even consider for a second that someone's gonna die.
Well, I remember the AIDS epidemic when Magic got it. Like it was like 9/11. Like, oh my God, AIDS. I'm never gonna sleep with a girl again. Like this is crazy. So Magic was kind of the face of AIDS, and Tom Hanks is kind of the face of COVID, and they both survived.
Oh yeah, and I actually have a little. I'm not a huge conspiracy theory guy, but I do think that not Trump. I do think that Tom Hanks and The Rock didn't have COVID.
You think they were full of shit?
I think that the CDC or the American government, whoever does publicity is like, all right, like people aren't taking Corona seriously. Like who will they listen to? Like what celebrity? I could totally see HR type mindset being like, who are your top 2 picks to let people know Corona is serious? Tom Hanks, The Rock. Like it's like 2
universally liked guys
who are
box office draws,
who have internet savvy. It wouldn't stand out as unbelievable that they're on the internet or on Instagram. And there was some people out there. At first it was kind of a funny idea I had. And then I saw some stuff online where people were connecting that Rita Wilson's videos that she were saying were from Australia were like not from Australia. And they were like, Tom Hanks was talking and a kid was getting into a school bus in the back. And like, someone was like, what kid has gotten on a school bus in LA in the past like 2 months? You know, and it was all this weird shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, like when Magic got AIDS, everyone was freaked out. And then 2 years later, no one's fucking with a condom again. Nobody gives a shit. So the mask will come off eventually and we won't give a shit.
That is definitely true. The mask. So even on like these shoots that I'm on, everyone gets tested before the shoot starts. And then it's supposed to be like everyone's wearing a mask, right? But it's like after, 4 hours into the day, it's like, masks are off. People are like, is this my water? I don't know. Like no one gives a shit.
No.
So people go like, I think there's a lot of articles right now. It's doomsday bullshit, like working from home is forever. This, and this is never coming back. It's like, dude, people will snap back. You think it's going to take, it won't even take years. It'll take days. People fucking get right back into their natural habits in a second.
Oh yeah. I first did when I first got on stage, hadn't been on stage. I opened for Swartzen in Columbus and I hadn't been on stage in maybe 3 months. And your muscle memory just kicked right back in. I was like, oh, I'm fine. I thought it was going to be.
It took me like, my first show was outdoors. So I think I was still kind of like,
oh yeah, that's hard.
I was like, those are hard anyway. You know what I mean? Even when you're in a groove. And I was kind of like, it was funny to me. I'd been doing tons of Zooms and I thought I had like 20 new minutes. And then once I got on a real stage, I was like, oh, this is like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the funny part. Okay. I want to talk because I have to get to this.
Oh yeah.
I've always known your name. I first heard it, I think through comedian Ryan Dalton, who I went to high school with. Do you remember Ryan Dalton?
Yeah, I do. I don't know super well, but
I remember hearing your name. I remember Will Noonan. And then I was on Twitter and I saw the first Brotha Man video you were going to Skankfest.
Yeah.
And I was rolling. I go, this guy's fucking great. And then I start following you from there. So that's how I became in contact with you. I just wanted to know.
I knew you from Compound Media and from like Brennan and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think Brennan is one of the funniest people like on the planet.
The guy is so wicked quick and just he'll like just within a second he can just say something hilarious just in conversation.
It's not. I don't think that he's cranky is funny. Like I think he's a funny guy. Like I think he's a funny human being. You know what I mean? and he sees the world in such a fucking weird way, and that's like what makes a great comedian, I think, you know. So
like I was on the phone with him the other day, like when I told him about what happened, my situation, and he's like, listen, I'm telling you right now, you have to get a lawyer.com. Like he didn't have to say that, but it was just so funny.
yeah, like .com. You know, it's like my girlfriend is not, you know, she's like not that into comedy really. Like she's like likes it and she's happy that I do it and everything, but she's not really a huge fan or anything like that. And she's terrible with comedians' names and da 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 da. But she fucking knows Brendan. She like loves Brendan. You know what I mean? I remember one time, it was like the first few months she was dating, and she said something like, "Is that a Kevin Brennan joke or something?" And I was like, "How do you know who Kevin Brennan is?" She was like, "I just like him." I was like, I knew she was the one. You know what I mean? I was like, she likes Kevin Brennan.
Well, the interesting thing about my relationship with Kevin is I was friends with Neil before Kevin. Like before, I didn't even know Kevin. I was actually friends with Neil. Neil had done my radio show in Cleveland, and we stayed in touch. And I'd see him around, and then I always knew of Kevin Brennan just from comedy. I knew the name, and then I heard the legendary episode of Opie and Jim where he it was his coming out party because Florentine was on, and Florentine goes,
I was listening to that live.
Yeah, me too.
Walking.
He's like, I'm going on Opie and Jim later. He goes, I go, cool, I'm going to be listening. I had no idea Kevin Brennan, and then Kevin just went on just this fucking called out everybody, and it was his coming out party. And it was
Tom Papa half a fag.
Yeah, he's making fun of Swartz. He's making fun of that. And I texted Jim. I go, this guy's hilarious. He goes, and he just wrote Radio Gold. This is Radio Gold. And that's how I came in contact.
That was a bad Opie was like, they should have had Brennan on like every fucking like week after that. You know what I mean? And then they were wicked sparing with Brennan, I remember.
Hey, Will, plug whatever you got to plug right now. I'm going to go grab something real quick.
Oh, sounds good.
We're about to get into a segment. I need this.
All right.
So plug your podcast and everything you got.
Okay. Yeah, Chad, I know what a plug is. Okay. First of all, I'm going to plug Chad's Patreon. You should be donating to it. Second of all, did you hear what I said?
Oh, I did not hear what you said. What'd you say?
I said, I plugged your Patreon. I was like, let's get it going.
Well, I appreciate that.
I was like, also the Noonan Show on YouTube. And if you're in New Hampshire, you got 3 chances to see me in the next couple weeks. I'll be in Nashua, Pelham, 1,
2, 3.
Yeah, I just did Manchester, so I guess that's it.
No, I'm going to be, this is coming out on Patreon tonight, but it will be live for the world on Tuesday.
Nice. Well, so then just Pelham.
So we're talking about Opie, and I had to put on my captain's hat because I'm steering the ship.
I know you're steering the ship, Brotha Man.
The Brotha Man.
Yeah, that was one of the times. So when Brendan was on that, I really, really, really loved listening. I was listening a lot during that. That was actually, I think, I don't know what was going on. Something was going on in my life. I was listening to I was taking like a lot of hikes, and I was listening to a lot of Opie and Jim on Sirius. And that was how I discovered Kevin. But I was going to say, I too knew Neil before I knew Kevin, but not very well. But it's a story I always thought made him kind of a dickhead. He was doing his half-hour presents in. They used to film him in Boston,
right?
So he was like somewhat. It was kind of like in the newer part of Twitter, and I was like one of the only Boston comics even on Twitter, you know. So he hit me up, and
you and Kenny Rogerson.
Yeah, the Viper. Just played my dad in a movie, actually.
Oh, I think he told me that. Yeah.
So anyway, like I pulled what little strings I had, and I got him some stage time so he could run his thing, you know, his 20 minutes, and he did. And I didn't even like bug him about it. Like I went and watched, and I like didn't even like, you know, I was just like, you know what I mean? And and then like a month later, he was back in town doing a club, or not even a month, like a couple months later, he was back in town doing a club. And I was like, hey, I saw you're back in town. I was wondering if like you had a guestie or anything like that, or if I could come by or something like that, you know? And he blocked me no reply and a block.
Are you serious?
A true story, you know? And I'm
holy shit.
And it was, I was trying to play it as cool as I could. And I was also like, kind of like
on Twitter.
Yeah. My first reaction was like, oh my God, like co-creator of the Chappelle Show, like just blocked me. Like,
were you affiliated with Kevin at the time? Were you doing his
no,
show?
I never even.
Wow.
It was one of those. I'd only been in comedy maybe 5 years, and I'd only been in Boston like 3 years or 2 years. So I was kind of like, it was one of those kind of like, welcome to the big leagues moments where you're like, oh, not everyone's so sweet.
No, I had to fall out with Neil, like, because I was already affiliated with Kevin, and that's when he he pretended like he didn't know I knew him, which was bullshit because I was on his podcast every day.
Yeah.
Like, I go, all right, dude, I'm not stupid. That you were friends with me on Facebook. You see the videos, just so yeah.
I was just like, I was like, if I have to choose, I choose Kevin.
Me too. Team Kevin all the way.
Way funnier, way nicer. Like,
yeah.
I don't get the feeling he's the kind of guy, like, even if I was friends with Neil, he would help me in any way.
No.
So.
No, I mean, Kevin has the joke starfucker, but it couldn't be any more truer. And if this gets back to him, good. Just tell him I said it. chadzumock. Even though I have enough problems in my life, I don't mind having a beef with Neil Brennan. I'm good with that.
It was funny too. I remember right around the time that happened, I heard him on some like very famous podcast, like Rogan or Mark Maron. He was like complaining. He was like, I'm sick of people asking me like if they can open for me, and like I'm sick of that, and da. And the person was like, that doesn't bother me that much. Like the person he was talking to. I was like, I'm one of those people, man. And I wasn't even like really asking for anything. Like I just was kind of, what I really wanted to be was like, hey, want to like see each other, like, reconnect or whatever.
And the thing is, Neil, I remember I've been doing stand-up longer than Neil. And I remember when he came on the scene, because I was living in LA, he kind of backdoored himself in. He didn't work himself up from an MC feature to headliner. He just I'm the co-creator of the Chappelle Show. Give me a spot at Comedy Juice. And that's how he was getting spots. And he wasn't very good at first. And then, so he never really worked his way up the traditional way, like host, feature, headliner. He just kind of was like, I'm the co-creator of the Chappelle Show. Give me a spot at the Hollywood Improv.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of people went that way of like, or some, whatever. Like I was on Last Comic Standing, or I was, I'm like, I don't know. I've seen all kinds of people come in to stand up, and, Viners.
Yeah. Well, I want to give, I think I've got to end on a big note. We got to talk about the Brotha Man and Opie.
Yeah.
Because that's, I've watched your videos countless times. Like the last one you did that you said you did for me because I talked you into it.
Yeah.
Probably like 26 times. It's just all, you got everything down of Opie, like everything.
Yeah. Well, it's like, cause I'm a fan, right? Like I listen to them. I used to in my car, like going to high school, do them both, you know what I mean? Talking to each other, do the show. And then, but then when I really started listening to a lot of Opie and Jim, and I think Opie and Jim is really where Opie
became Opie.
He let it just flow. Like he let that weird side of him just completely flow. And it was like, every day I'd be listening, and I still, people think I fucking hate him or something. Like I absolutely don't. Like I respect the guy, and I think, and he's made me laugh a million times for real, not just laughing at him, but every now and then he would say something so like fucked up, he'd be like, I can't deal with mentally ill people. Like I don't feel bad for them. You know what I mean? Or something like he's got cancer. I can't feel bad for him. And I'm like, Opie, like you're so like heartless,
I always hated like he does these, like he gets caught up in these little phrases and words like, yeah, why don't you give him a little taste? Give him a taste.
Make it nice. That was the big one for a while. Hey, tell him to bring us up a little taste of the brewskis. Put them out on a plate. Make it nice.
Hey, E-Rock, who's on the phones?
Yep, it's just he was like, I don't know, and it's the whole thing. They were the original podcast, so it's like I listened to so many hundreds of hours of them, and
now it's just like he's doing these Facebook lives. It's like some mentally ill, like he's the mentally ill man.
It is. It's just
I listened to the one.
I enjoyed when he would have the Zoom wherever he was, and but like for short bursts, like it was too much after a while. And he's so all over the place. Like he's like, anyway, like, bang, bang, boom, like whatever thought pops into his head. But what cracks me up is every time I finish one of those, I'm like, I'm like, this is so bad. Like, this is so unfunny. You know what I mean? I'm like, I just don't know if I should even upload this. And I'm like, whatever. Like, and then every one, like, people like more than the last one. Like,
it really is a train wreck aspect. I just listened to one he did where he teased Howard Stern.
yeah.
Like, and he talked about some guy coming to his building for like, and he finished with Howard Stern. It was like a 2-minute story. Like, I listened to Stern. It wasn't that bad. He's prepared, he's not that bad. And I'm like, well, I waited all that time for this.
People want to talk shit. He's not that bad. Like,
I think he thinks he's gonna get rehired with Bubba. I think that's his new angle.
I do think he's courting Sirius XM again. I have noticed that change in tone on the. He seems to be kind of like, I'm willing to play ball.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take half of what you were giving me now. Meanwhile, no one's hiring in radio. In fact, iHeart is firing people left and right. The whole medium's dead. He should invest money in a podcast instead of a Zoom recorder.
Tons of morning radio shows they got the guillotine.
Oh, all over the place. It's a fucking hatchet job. My old radio station, like, it's a shell of what a promotion team's gone. There's nobody in the building. There's 4 stations with no one working at them. It's just a program.
That's what we got here in Boston. Like, AAF now is like just a stream of music that comes from somewhere else, like from space. Yeah,
and the jocks are like, they live in Kansas City and they're just recording it in their house and they're sending a file. So it's over.
Yeah.
The days of radio are over. So that's why you got to go listen to Will Noonan. And the fact that Will Noonan has a better setup than Opie is sad, because Opie's one of the most successful broadcasters in the history of fucking radio. And Will Noonan does Honda commercials in Boston. What the fuck?
Brother Man, make it
Brother
nice.
Man, make it nice. Give him a taste.
Give him a little taste.
Joe Rogan. Why didn't you call?
Pete Davidson. Petey, used to be broskies, man. Let's hang out. You, me, and Ariana, kid.
Chappelle doing Saturday Night Live. You're in my neck of the woods.
That's what I really think the crux of the Opie Brother Man character is now. Is like a guy who takes credit for everyone's career. You know what I mean?
I know.
Because he had a show where everyone was doing promo.
I will say this: give me a show with Will Noonan, and just pick another comic. Just pick one. Anybody.
Louis J. Gomez.
You, me, Louis J. Gomez, and you put us in a room with Louis C.K., Bill Burr, Jim Norton, Anthony Cumia, Patrice O'Neill. I think we're going to do pretty fucking well. I think we're going to do Rogan popping in, Dice popping in. I think it's going to be all right. I think we might be number 5 on the iTunes charts.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sort of what Anthony like just knows, and he never stopped doing. He's like, you surround yourself with funny people and funny shit happens, and just be funny with them.
So Opie should just be like, okay, I'm very grateful that we had this amazing thing and we were all lucky. All of us were very lucky.
I think what's funny about Opie now is like the whole thing boils down to internet trolls. He's like, oh, everyone gives me shit. I'm like, no, Opie, like people on Twitter give you shit. Like if you want to like do something, you can do it. Like those people don't really represent like anyone really. Like the average person walking down the street, people all the time come up to me and they're like, you're on the Opie and Anthony show, right? Just because Anthony still has a show.
Yeah.
And they just, how people like the average person who's not a diehard fan.
Yeah.
They just think Opie and Anthony are still out there doing a show, and they would, they're back. Like everything. I would love it if they did like a 10-part podcast, like 10 hours, or 10 1-hour episodes, the two of them. The first 2 could be like just them 2 working it out. And then the next bunch, you just have like Burr, Voss, like all the originals on there. It'd be great. And
I think Anthony would do it in 5 seconds, but Opie has a problem because it's a thing called narcissistic personality disorder. And a lot of these morning radio guys all have it because they were part of broadcasting when it was super, super powerful. And they almost feel like they're kingmakers and kings of their kingdom. And
I've seen it myself because I've done like you do the morning radio shows and you're sitting across from You're like, how is the same dude in every? How do all these guys have like a similar personality? Like, not all of them, of course, but like,
Yeah.
The mean ones are like the jerks. Like, you're like, whoa,
Like Man Cow. There was a guy in Cleveland Rover. They're all out there, and I've seen them. I've been around them. Even the guy I worked with has he had a taste of it. A taste.
Yeah, like they all. Well, it's anyone I think whose name is on a show will eventually crack a little bit. It's like, well, you know, like a talk show, Conan, or those things. Like those jobs are just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, after a while, you're gonna be like, you know, you're gonna be like, I'm Alan Cox, god damn it, you know what I mean? I was trying to think of a Cleveland guy.
That was my guy.
Oh, is that him? I guessed right.
Yeah. I was.
I like him a lot, actually. I've never done the show, but I like Bill Squire a lot, and that's like his bro, right? Bill Squire.
Oh God, you're opening up Pandora's box right now. You know how Bill got that job is because I got fired.
Is that true?
That's how it all came. Yeah, me and the host didn't get along, and I was
Alan.
up to make. Yeah, we were really super successful, and I was in the middle of a contract negotiation. Like I was set to make some pretty good, a nice taste. I was gonna get a nice taste.
Wet your beak a little bit.
And yeah, I put myself in a DUI situation, and they found the perfect out. And they got the big contract off the books, and they hired Bill for pretty much nothing. And you know, he was desperate enough, and he needed it. And
yeah,
so I kind of have the divorce, like that's the ex-wife. She took my house, my car.
That happened to a comedian here in the Northeast. I'll say that. I don't even want to say what state it is. Almost the exact same story.
Yeah.
But you both did great. You both did all right for yourself, you and this guy. But I know Bill. I just know Bill from like doing comedy and doing comedy festivals and stuff like that. I always thought he was nice guy, but obviously a fucking job thief. Well, fucking.
No, the job's his. I mean, who knows how much?
I haven't talked to him in years, Chad.
No, I don't. He did some shady shit. I don't care. That's such in my rearview mirror, and considering the amount of problems I have right now, I don't give a fuck. I could care less.
I forgot that when you get into Cleveland radio drama, it's like fucking, it's deep.
It's a bubble. It's such a bubble, and nobody outside of it gives a fuck. But
no, I'm not even fucking around. Like I've seen, because I follow all those guys on Twitter. I've seen what goes on and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, like
it's Cleveland. Like that it's so self-important. Like we're all feel like I don't know. I'm glad I'm out of there.
Happens here in Boston too.
Yeah, I had to get out. I was like, that's high school. I have to graduate. I have to move on. This is stupid.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. But I guess it's all local situations, I guess.
Yeah, you don't want to be in radio anymore.
No, I mean, it's pretty much over. It's over. I mean, I almost have 100 Patreons. That's all I need.
That's dope, man. You know, get $10,000 from each of those people. I love like when people do that math. You know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I do it myself. I'm like, if I get 10,000 people, I got 15,000 Twitter followers. I get each of them to give me $1 a month.
I swear to God,
I'm fucking rich.
Those were my exact thoughts when I was sitting in cell block 9, just sitting there waiting to get out. I'm like, if I had if everybody just donated like $50, I think I'll be okay. I think I could get through this. And then the gigs will start coming back when the pandemic's over, and I'll be okay. I could eat tomorrow.
Do you have any I would start thinking about do I know Dave Attell well enough to ask for a loan?
No, I won't borrow money. I've never borrowed money before. I don't have it in me. So I was like, I'd rather do a Patreon where you can get something in return, or so.
I've often wondered if people ask Cumia for money all the time. I bet people do. I've never hit him up for anything, obviously, but I bet he would be a guy, if I was really in a jam, the mafia was going to kill me and I needed 500,000 cash or something like that. He's probably the only person I know who would even think about it.
Yeah.
I would say Artie Lang, but I don't think he can come up with that anymore.
I don't think those the days of Artie and having that cash is. I think he put it up his nose. And
do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I don't have it. I've had comics. I'm not going to name their names. They sent me some money, a big chunk, and they did it.
That's great.
They didn't want anything from it, and
Yeah.
but I would never ask for it. You know, I would
No,
never
of
like.
course, of course, of course. No,
But,
I'm just saying, like, I've often wondered about that, like, because like I was just thinking about that because Cumia's got so many people who kind of like come in and out of his atmosphere,
yeah.
and he's a wealthy dude. I'm like, I wonder if people hit him up for loans, and I bet he's not. I wonder what he's like about it. You know, I think about that.
Well, I'm like you. I'm just happy he has me on his show and he promotes my shit.
I can't even believe I know the guy. Like I sit there, I'm like, every time I'm talking to him, I'm like, this is fucking surreal.
Yeah. No, I still have that. I never lose that fanboy moment either. Like I'm like, okay,
Never gone away.
just accept that we're friends now, and it is what it is, and you got to keep, you know, even
I did
with
an
Florentine.
I did an episode. Yes, honestly, and Florentine, like even like I was like joking with him, and I was like, I can't believe I'm like joking around with Jim Florentine. But yeah, I was on Cumia with Jim Norton and Artie Lang.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, I watched the episode. I'm just like wide-eyed. I can't even believe it's like, I can't believe they let me sit there.
There's a video on my page, and it has over 100,000 views. It's me. It was in the Artie and Anthony show, and it's just us three, and I'm laughing hysterically at these two. I'm like, you guys, you don't understand. The reason why I'm here is because of you, and now I'm in the middle. I have the best seat in the house.
I know.
So I was listening to Stern with Artie, then I was listening to O&A. I go, this is fucking amazing, and I it's not lost upon me. So I get all these comments like, all you did was laugh. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I was in the best seat.
Same thing. I did the same thing. I barely said anything, and but Artie was like, "That's what you're supposed to do when you're you in this situation." You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? Step on Jim Norton? You know, fuck that.
They literally were playing tennis with each other, and I was watching. They're bouncing the ball back and forth, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fuck up this game. Yeah. This is a great game.
I've watched guys try, and comedy doesn't work when you try and force your way into it. You know what I mean?
Right. And
then
you get scared. You're like, what if I say something really dumb and it just brings it to a screeching halt?
Bobby did that one time. One time I was on there and I said something and it was dumb and nobody heard it. And Bobby was like, hold on. Say that again.
Oh, no. No.
But it was also kind of great. Like I was like, oh my God, like I did it. Like I got the Bobby Kelly fucking like killing me on the Anthony Cumia show. It was like a terrible joke. I don't even remember what it was. It was like a pun or something like that. You know what I mean? And he was like, say that again.
By the way, that is so Bobby too. He loves doing that.
Oh,
let's see if I can pull this up real quick. I think I just pulled it. I think it. Oh, there it is. Can you see it?
Oh yeah.
But
wow, look at Artie. He looks great.
Yeah.
That was a short but great time, the Artie and Anthony show.
Look, I'm just sitting there.
Yeah. There's a similar one of me, man. I'm just on there with those guys. Artie's telling a great story, and I'm just like,
yeah, I'm just watching him play volley or tennis, and I'm like, I'm a little boy.
Yeah.
I grew up with you. Wee.
Cumia is a really nice guy too, and
oh, he's great. He's so nice.
I think it showed a lot during that Artie and Anthony show thing because like Artie was all over the place and
the patience,
every day. And
of that man.
And he was just like, like, you know what I mean? I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And even backstage or behind the scenes or whatever, I was like, what's going on? And he didn't like talk shit or anything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He just, I think he's a happy guy. He's happy with his life and he enjoys what he does. And, you know, yeah, he's a good dude. He's solid, man.
Yeah.
Well, Will, I can't thank you enough for doing this. So many people have requested you and you're such a good guy and a funny guy. So thank you for taking the time out. And again,
feelings mutual.
The Will Noonan show is on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up right now. Will Noonan
show. Just the Noonan show.
The Noonan show. And what days when's it come out?
Every Thursday. We had a new episode today. And it's on like iTunes and stuff as a podcast as well. It's me and my buddy Paul do it. Paul produces it. He does an amazing job. All that good looking quality and microphones, all that shit. That's all Paul.
I need a Paul.
Oh, he's the best. Everyone should have a Paul.
Yeah, where do you get a Paul?
It's funny. He was my old roommate's cousin, and you so rarely meet people like in your, late 20s, early 30s and make friends. But that's what happened. I met Paul and we just, as adults, and we made friends. And now I barely even talk to that old roommate, and I see Paul all the time.
Well, I'm hoping I get enough Patreons where I can get a Paul.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, I bet there's a lot in Florida. Start small, get a midget, and then work your way up to a full-size Paul.
If you listen to episode 91 of the Noonan Show, you can watch the segment on where do you take the air conditioner.
Yeah, it's a hard-hitting news show. We don't fuck around.
And of course, Will Noonan on Twitter. Thank you, Will. I do appreciate it. And let's gig together somehow. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but let's do Friends of Compound Media somewhere.
Absolutely, dude. We will one day. I'm
Side Splitters. I'll get you in down here. It's a great club. It's my home club.
I love Florida, man. I'd love to come down.
I'll pitch it to Cumia, BT. I go, how about me and Will split a headlining week and we'll promote it on Compound all week?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Will Noonan, everybody. Thank you, Will.
Thanks for having me, man. And best of luck with, the state of Florida, those motherfuckers.
That's awesome.
Is that who you're up against? The state of Florida versus?
I think so. I don't even know. I don't even have a court date yet. So I'm just like, every day is a new day. It's a new day.
You're like Florentine said, you're going to get through it.
You'll be all right. You'll laugh about it someday.
You'll be fine. Just don't go into beast mode. Don't say beast mode.
Yeah. Don't act like you're 12. You eat ketchup. What's wrong with you? Sugar. It's all sugar. All right, Will. That's a wrap.
See you guys.